Burn Brighter This Winter is a Tasmanian government project in collaboration with local government and householders to encourage more efficient wood heater operation, reduce smoke levels in the community and save lives. A lot of people suffer the effects of wood smoke from a neighbouring chimney. It can be a nuisance when you have washing on the line or when you can't even open a window just to let in some fresh air. And it can also cause serious health problems for people with heart and lung conditions that could cause hospital admission, or for some people it could be fatal. However, there is something we can all do to reduce levels of wood heater smoke in our community and see immediate health benefits. This presentation is part of a series of videos aimed at helping householders understand why their wood heater may smoke excessively, and shows how to light a fire, keep a home warm and reduce smoke by up to 90%. Professor John Todd is a consultant and academic based at the University of Tasmania with over 30 years' experience in research on wood heaters and wood smoke. For more information, go to www.epa.tas.gov.au.
Why is it that wood heaters in particular smoke? For several reasons. Firstly, if the wood that we put into the wood heater, if we load a piece of wood in that is very wet, that is, it's unseasoned, what it means is that firstly a lot of the heat that's already in the wood heater has to be used to evaporate the water out of the wood. And this cools down the fire inside the wood heater, and when you have lower temperatures the gases don't burn as well and you get more smoke. So wet wood is a problem. The next problem is that the way we operate a wood heater is that we have our fire burning merrily away and we warm the room up, and then once the room is warm, what we do is we turn the air supply down or turn it off. So we are starving the fire of oxygen. Now if the gases that have come out of the wood, even if they're hot and even if they're well mixed with the air, if there's not enough oxygen, some of those gases won't burn. They'll get out and escape as smoke. So when we turn the air supply down, we get a bit of smoke. Another problem with the typical wood heater is that the wood heaters rely on the draft up the flue. So if we have a flue 4 to 5 metres high, and we have hot air in that flue, what it does is it causes a suction. There's a draft which draws the air up the flue, which sucks the fresh air into the wood heater. And this is how the fire operates. The draft causes a suction of air into the wood heater, and so we get the oxygen that we need into the wood heater. So if the flue is blocked, or if the flue isn't high enough, or the flue isn't hot enough, then we don't get good draft and we don't get enough oxygen coming into the heater. Another problem with wood heaters, and this is a matter of how well the wood heater is designed, if the air with the oxygen coming into the wood heater doesn't mix with the gases that are coming out of the wood. If for some reason the air with the oxygen goes straight up the flue and doesn't get mixed with the gases until you're well outside the combustion zone, then you get very poor combustion. And so it's a matter of designing wood heaters so that doesn't happen. Another problem is that, let's suppose the wood heater's been burning well and the fire has died right down, and you've got a bed of coals which might be still very hot, might be 300 or 400 degrees, but they're not glowing red hot. And you put another piece of wood on, what happens is the temperatures in the coals are hot enough to dry out the wood and to start the reactions that cause the gases coming out of the wood, but because there are no glowing red coals there, these gases have nothing to ignite them, and so the wood just gradually smolders, well, it's smouldering with no flame. And this is a common problem with wood heaters, in that there is nothing there to ignite the gases that are coming off the heater, off the wood. Another problem with combustion, it sounds like there's nothing but problems with combustion, but if you have a flame, a nice flame, and you blow cold air onto the flame, what happens is that the very outside surface of the flame actually goes out. So while I said that you've got to heat the flame up to at least 600 degrees to get it to ignite, if you cool flame below 600 degrees, it goes out. So ideally in a wood heater we want to have hot air actually we want to preheat the air that's coming in to the wood heater up to high temperatures so that it doesn't cause what's called flame quenching due to the cold air. This same flame quenching can occur if you have a cold surface. So when the wood heater is at room temperature and you first light it, even if you've got nice flame and plenty of oxygen in there, the surfaces inside the wood heater are all more or less at room temperature. And so when the flame gets close to this surface, there'll be a little section of flame that actually goes out, and the combustible gases don't burn and they get sucked up the flue, causing smoke. So we want to get the wood heater hot as quickly as possible when it's lit or when it's refueled. Another problem with burning wood is that if I had two pieces of wood like this and I lit them and I held the two pieces of wood just about 20 millimetres apart, I could get a nice flame, continuous flame between these two pieces of wood. Now if I moved the two pieces of wood right close together, at some stage suddenly the flame will go out and we'll get smoke pouring out. It's the sort of thing that can be done around a campfire as an experiment. And the reason is that when the two pieces of wood are really close together, you can't get the oxygen, the air coming in between them to sustain combustion. Another interesting thing is that if I pull these two pieces of wood further apart, once they get a certain distance apart, the flame will disappear as well. And this is because in order to sustain combustion in the gases that are coming out of the wood, this bit of wood needs the heat from this bit of wood to keep the flame temperature high enough, and vice versa. So again, another simple thing to do if there's a campfire is to have a bit of wood that's burning in the campfire. If you pull it out of the campfire, quite quickly the flame will disappear and the wood will just smoke away. So arrangement of logs so they're about 20 millimetres apart in the wood heater is important. If the wood heater is filled right up to the very brim, and sometimes you see people who want to get the heater burning as long as possible, so they pack the firebox full of wood. Well, when that happens, the problem is that there is nowhere in this hot part of the firebox where the gas is coming off the wood and the air coming into the heater can mix. So they never get mixed, and so you get a lot of smoke. So overfilling the heater is a problem.